Welcome to the third section of this course, the Jenkins file. In this section, we are going to understand the declarative pipeline, then understand the Jenkins file, and finally create and configure a Jenkins file together with the Jenkins pipeline project. Here we are at the first video of this section, understanding the declarative pipeline. In this video, we are going to see what is the declarative pipeline, then understand sections, directives, and steps, and finally see how to use scripts inside of a declarative pipeline. The declarative pipeline has a simplified syntax on top of the pipeline subsystem. Similarly to the scripted pipeline, it follows the Groove syntax, but a little bit different. On top level of the pipeline, you must declare the pipeline block. Inside of the pipeline block, you need to add the sections, directives, steps, or assignment statements, which we are going to see in this video. Sections usually contains directive or steps. Common sections are agent, which defines on which agent the pipeline or the stage will be executed. Stages, which is a group of stages in your pipeline, and post, which defines the post build steps. Here we have an example of the pipeline with the sections explained. After the pipeline block starting, we have the agent block. In this case, we are saying that we want this pipeline to be executed in an agent with a label Linux. Then we have the section stages, which will contain one or more stages. And finally, we have the post section. In this case, we are saying to always run this step after the stages. Next, we have directives, which can be inside of a section or the pipeline block. Common directives are triggers, which automatically trigger the pipeline based on a definition. It can be in a specific time, like cron, or it can poll the SCM during a defined period. Another one that we have is parameters, which defines one or more parameters which an user should provide when triggering the pipeline. Another one that we have is directive tools, which define the tools configured on Jenkins. If you remember, when we were using scripted pipeline, we have added Maven to our Jenkins and later we have used it in the pipeline. Here we can do the same, but this should be declared inside of the tools directive. Next, we have the stage directive, which is inside of the stages section and contains steps and agents. So you can define all of the steps of this specific stage, and you can also define on which agent this stage will run. Finally, we have the when directive, which gives you control to what should be executed in the pipeline. Here again we have an example. As I have explained before, we have the tools directive, which in this case I'm saying to use Maven, and the name of the Maven installation is M3, like we did in previous videos. Then I'm defining another directive called parameters. In this case, I have a string parameter with the name version, and the default value is 1.0.0. The description of this parameter is what is the version to build. And later I have the stage directive, which contains some steps, and it's also using the parameter version. To use the parameter, you just need to define params dot the name of the parameter. Last, we have the steps, which defines all of the steps of a given stage. Inside of the pipeline, we must declare the stages, then a specific stage, and then the steps inside of this stage. In this case, we have two steps, the SH and the echo step. Last but not least, it's also possible to run scripted pipeline or scripts inside of the declarative pipeline. The way to do that is you just declare a pipeline, then you define the stages, a specific stage, the steps, and inside of the steps, you can define one step called script. Inside of this block, you can create your script based on Groovy.